Meet Kevin Pathrath has a devious, dirty plan to turn HouseHack into an infinite money glitch for himself at the expense of his many fund investors. What is the purpose of HouseHack? The company, HouseHack, seeks to purchase these wedge properties, rent them, and then strategically sell and or package them together into some kind of investment vehicle to sell to investors so as to recapture capital principal and appreciation while maintaining management of the properties and tenants until the company's interest is fully divested. In the marketing of this capital recapture plan, the company refers to these as mini funds. This strategy may be subject to entirely separate regulatory approval, and this offering does not imply that mini funds are possible or will succeed. It says it right there. HouseHack goes and it buys properties, it fixes them up, it gets them ready for condition, and then it sells them to many funds. Seems perfectly legit, right? Let's keep going. If the company is unable to find a way to bundle its properties into an investment vehicle, which is described and marketed as the company's current mini fund plan, such as a syndication, partnership, real estate investment trust, or a Delaware statutory company, then it will have limited ways of recapturing its principal and potential appreciation of its renovated properties, meaning it will not be able to liquidate its properties and continue investing in more real estate without raising additional capital. That's interesting, Kevin. So my understanding is that you have a knack for real estate. You know how to find a wedge deal, a property that is selling below its fair market value. But what you're saying here is that you'll have limited ways of recapturing the principal and potential appreciation if you don't sell it to the mini funds? Now, my understanding of how real estate works is that if you buy a property, fix it up, and then resell it, you can reap that potential appreciation by selling it on the open market. So why are you saying that you can't harvest that potential appreciation unless you sell it to the mini funds? Are the mini funds potentially overpaying for the properties relative to their fair market value? Because you should be able to sell it to anybody if the property is worth what you're saying it's worth. So how does Kevin determine these wedges? What is the value of the property that Meet Kevin is buying? Well, I've got a snippet from his HouseHack website where he shows the all-in costs on the first line, $49.3 million. That's the amount of money that he's putting into the properties. Then he adds estimated total wedge with a little note. The wedge, he says, is $10.6 million. And he says these values are internal estimates. Internal estimates as of February 27, 2025. So it seems like you, Kevin, are determining the value of the wedge, which you will then sell to the mini funds. That's interesting. Let's dig in a little bit more. So we saw that he cited that there were internal estimates that determine the value of these mini funds. Well, who actually is going to determine the fair value of these properties? Because we want to make sure if HouseHack is buying, fixing up, and then reselling these properties, ideally the mini funds that then purchase them and take the properties off the books of HouseHack, ideally those mini funds would be buying them at a decent price so that investors in the mini funds are not overpaying for the properties, reducing their total lifetime returns. Let's watch this clip and see what Kevin has to say.
So, yeah, there's a period of time where we go from, okay, we own real estate till we turn it into cash, and then we buy real estate again. And we do that over and over again. In time, we won't do that in lumps. It'll just be, okay, we got a new property, it's stabilized, boom, put it in the REIT. Okay, independent valuation. So you get somebody who looks at the comps and goes, okay, here are the comps. Do we agree with the valuation? And then you have an independent board of trustees who's responsible for going, our reputation is on this. You know, think an outside person that has a business reputation that's like, yeah, that's fair. So you have these two independent valuations, and then you're good, and then the REIT buys it.
Okay, so you have an independent board of trustees, somebody that has their reputation on the line. They're going to be the ones that are making sure that the REITs, the mini funds, are not being ripped off, right? Well, let's dig into the current officers and board of HouseHack. The company's voting stock are the only securities of the company that possess voting powers and management rights. As the only holder of the company's voting common interest of capital stock, Kevin Pathrath, the company's founder, CEO, and president, will be able to exercise sole voting power and management rights of the company. As a result, Mr. Pathrath can control the outcome of all matters submitted to the company's shareholders for approval, including the election, removal, and replacement of the company's board of directors, and any merger, consolidation, or sale of all or substantially all of the company's assets. Let's read a little bit more. The company is managed by its officers who report to the company's board of directors. The officers are Kevin Pathrath, McKay Thomason, and Kenneth Trainham. The board of directors are Kevin Pathrath, Ross Gerber, and William Stewart. Meet Kevin is the board. He controls who is on the board. He is both the CEO and a member of the board. So are you the board of trustees that is determining the fair value of these assets that you are selling for profit to the mini funds? I wonder if there's a conflict of interest. Kevin owns the stock. He has all the voting rights. He has selected the board of directors to include himself. Is he the one saying, hey, this property has this much of a wedge, and therefore I'm going to sell this property to the mini fund to include that wedge? I see a little conflict of interest to where Kevin might be biased towards potentially a higher fair market value than it actually is. And as he said previously, if they can't sell it to the mini funds, they may have issues selling on the market. Why would you have an issue if it's being sold at fair market value, Kevin? Interesting. But it's a win-win. Guys, this is a win-win. Trust me, bro. Let's see what Kevin has to say here.
I want this to be win-win. It's not like you want to rip off the REIT because you don't want people to feel like, you know, they're investing in a bad deal. Nope, nobody wants that, right? So you have to make it win-win. It has to be win-win for the HouseHack investors. It has to be win-win over here. And then people are like, okay, well, who pays for it? Well, the seller, right? When we originally bought the deal, basically the seller is selling at a discount because they're distressed. The property's a fixer-upper or whatever. That's where HouseHack's money comes from. So we think that's really exciting because we're creating value. Like, even though the seller might be selling for a discount, we're still giving them value. We're solving their problem. Remember, one of the first deals we did was a foreclosure.
That's interesting, Kevin. So it's the initial seller that is losing. But when you buy the property, and then I'm assuming you or somebody you appoint is assessing the fair market value of the property, there is no possible risk of bias to the upside of the fair market value. And then you sell the property, you divest it at a profit at which you can determine and put it into the mini funds. So, what do I think House Hack is? This is my opinion. This is what I think his master plan is. He wants to create House Hack into an infinite money glitch, and here's how he does it. He goes with House Hack and he buys properties from people, including foreclosing, like he just said, vulture capitalism. He creates a wedge. He then has an independent board of trustees confirm that the wedge is totally legit. He then sells the property at a huge profit to many fund baggies. If Kevin can make this work, this will be an infinite money glitch. And the investors in the mini funds will be the ones that could potentially be massively overpaying in excess of the real fair market value for the properties that me, Kevin, sold to it. The mini fund holders look like they're going to be the baggies for House Hack. Let me know what you think, people.